Hey friends, hey, it's your favorite host, LaDonna PM here. Listen, I know you're busy enjoying my podcast, The Owner's Manual, but have you ever wanted to have your own podcast? You heard me right. You can do this too. Just like I mentioned in episode 2 of The Owner's Manual, shameless plug, the world needs your voice of inspiration and genius. You can have your very own podcast using Anchor, and it's so easy. You don't need any special equipment. Although that's nice, you can do it right from your sofa and your cell phone. No joke. It costs $0. Yep, you heard me right. It's free 99. And all the tools that you need to customize your podcast are at your fingertips. Anchor even distributes your podcast for you, so you can be heard on multiple platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and so much more. And you can easily monetize your podcast. So all you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Hey, I can't wait to listen in. Welcome to the Owner's Manual podcast, a sanctuary of inner pause to equip you on your journey of self-discovery. I'm LaDonna PM, and I invite you to join me here, where I reflect, recall, and help you realign to your own unique owner's manual and inspire you to live purposefully. Previously on the Owner's Manual podcast. Hey, it's LaDonna PM, aka Miss Purposefully Made, and I am back, y'all. I am back. I teach, inspire, and create tools of self-discovery for the purpose pursuer, and I'm so delighted to rejoin you for season 2 of the Owner's Manual podcast. I know. It's been a minute. But I got one question to ask y'all. Did you miss me? Usually this is the part where I give a recap of the previous episode. However, I feel like I need to give you a recap on the episodes of my life, okay? Well, as you know, when I last joined you in the podcast world, we were still in the first wave of a global pandemic in 2020. We could probably do a whole season in and of itself of all the things that I learned during that time. So if you want to reacquaint yourself with some of the topics that I discussed here on the Owner's Manual podcast, you already know what to do. Click the link and go ahead and just listen to your heart's content. You have 20 episodes of season 1 to reacquaint yourself with the Owner's Manual podcast, what we do and what we're here to serve. But for the past 2 years, almost 2 years, I've been on a self-imposed hiatus from the Owner's Manual podcast. In fact, my last episode that aired June 28th, 2020. Wow. It was titled Into the Ground, and it was detailing a transformational grounding experience that helped me to release old patterns and programming. And then I literally have been hibernating ever since. So before I tell you all the things which happened in the burial grounds of my soul, let me just take a moment to thank you. I mean, really just thank you from the deepest part of my heart. Thank you to those who asked, inquired, checked in, stayed connected, you prayed or sent good vibes my way. I feel so appreciative of your love and care, and especially appreciative that the previous podcast episodes were so impactful to you in some way. Even going back to listen to them, you guys, I was really just warmed in my heart, like in a way that I cannot even explain adequately, but it's just intensely felt. I just found myself just smiling really big and just almost near tears because I just felt like this is just a full circle moment. So here I am relaunching on Resurrection Sunday. Happy Easter, you guys. And rising through, mental and emotional limitations I imposed on myself in order to show up not just for me, but for you too, in a powerfully transformative way. So again, I just want to say thank you. Again, I appreciate you for rocking with me. And, I was going to say I apologize for taking 2 years, but I really don't, because sometimes you just have to listen to your mind, your body, your spirit that says rest, rejuvenate, realign. And so all of that is important, but I did miss you, and I hope that you miss me too. And so I'm so excited for today's session. I received a holy download from looking over notes from episode 4 of the first season of the Owner's Manual podcast. And I talked about silencing your inner critic by ending self-doubt. That's a whole word unto itself. So again, shameless plug. If you've missed any past episodes, you know what to do. There are about 20 episodes of Owner's Manual podcast that can meet every need for you. And this particular episode, number 4, I was talking about in the first season about silencing your inner critic. And when I started looking over those show notes, I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about for season 2 opening episode. And I came across a phrase that I used to rename fear in that episode. And we've all heard about the acronym of fear being called false evidence appearing real. Well, I made up my own acronym in that episode for fear, of what to do when it craves attention. And so I said in that episode that fear now means face everything and rise. So it's funny how things have a way of coming full circle. And this is what we will be diving into today. So welcome back to me. Welcome back to the Owner's Manual podcast. And I am so thankful for you. Are you desiring a little bit more gratitude in your life? If you've been following along with my podcast, you'll know that one of the ways that I do this is by journaling. I've created a new journal just for you, available on Amazon. It's called my Love, Peace, and Joy Gratitude Journal. I believe that small seeds of gratitude produce a harvest of hope. So if you're desiring to create more spaces of gratitude in your life, allow this journal to help you achieve that goal. You can find my journal at this shortcut link, bit.ly/LPM books. That's all lowercase. Again, that's bit.ly/LPM books. I hope you enjoy it. So here we are at one of my favorite segments of the Owner's Manual podcast, and that is the soul coaching inspiration of the day. You guys do know I consider myself to be your soul coach, right? Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. So it should come as no surprise that I love to share empowering messages of hope and encouragement, because really that's what this podcast is about. But this particular inspiration of the day is from the Soul Coaching Oracle Guidebook by Denise Lynn. And it is designed to share an intuitive message from what your soul wants you to know. The soul coaching inspiration of the day is freedom. And the affirmation simply says, boundless freedom surges through me. You guys, this is such a beautiful inspirational picture. There's about 5 pear-shaped trees in the plains, and then there's a picture of a horse that looks like a stallion just surging and just racing across the plains in motion. He's moving so fast that everything is a blur behind him, which perfectly supports the affirmation of today that boundless freedom surges through me. And I don't know about you, but that goes perfectly with today's topic of let it rise. We'll get to that in a moment. But this card simply means break free, express yourself, and let your spirit fly. Flaunt your stuff. Dance, laugh, explore, and go beyond predictable behavior. Be daring. Fling your arms to the heavens and joy. Your soul wants you to know that you aren't here to be ordinary, but to step beyond limitations and self-imposed boundaries. Don't allow yourself to be trapped by convention or the expectations of others. You have the ability to choose your life on your terms. Replace the phrase "I should" with "I could, but I choose not to at this time." Perhaps you aren't always free to create the exact circumstances of your life, but you're certainly able to decide what meaning to give to those situations. So select meanings that empower you, for this is the time to break free. The affirmation again: boundless freedom surges through me. Amen to that. Thanks for joining me today. If you happen to be on social media, I'd love if you could comment, follow, or subscribe on our YouTube channel, Instagram page, or even our Facebook page. Look for the links in the show notes. If you have any questions or comments or any feedback, here's how you can reach me. On the Anchor podcast, just submit your question. Or you can email me at LaDonna, LaDonna, at LaDonnaPM.com. Again, that's LaDonna at LaDonnaPM.com. Welcome back. So today on this beautiful Resurrection Sunday, I want to talk to you, or rather just share my heart on this new acronym for fear. Like I mentioned in the recap, we have heard of fear being described as false evidence appearing real, but I renamed it for the purposes of my own reclamation of soul healing. And this word now means face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. Whew, I feel like I just want to cue the song Let It Rise. Hey, y'all want me to sing the song for you to help you jog your memory? I know you know this song. Let me see if I remember it. Let the glory of the Lord rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let the joy of our Lord rise among us. Let it rise. Look, y'all got me season 2, episode 21, singing again. I think y'all know that I love singing. And I know that I botched those words because it's been a minute since I've been a part of anybody's praise team. And I probably reversed the lyrics a little bit, but you get the gist. You get the gist. So let me ask you, what do you think about when you hear like just the lyrics of that song, Let It Rise, or just the idea of facing everything and rising? For me, and this is interesting because of the inspiration card that we had earlier, was freedom, about boundless freedom surging through me. And that's what I think about when I think about the title of this episode segment, Let It Rise. I think about something rising from the ashes, like a phoenix just rising from the ashes, restored, rejuvenated for a new purpose, a new mission, a new alignment, or even that stallion that was bounding across the fields, just with zeal and vigor, with a new mission, a new purpose, a new alignment. So let me ask you this. What are you rising up against today? What are you rising up against today? Today on this Resurrection Sunday, what are we rising up against? What are we rising up in our souls? What's coming out of us? What are we rising up against? Well, since you didn't ask me, but I asked you, so I'll ask me. I'll share. Since I last saw you, I have been shifting with courage into this new version of myself. You see, after the burial episode, in episode 20, I had a huge breakup. I went through a 30-day consecration and fasting period after that. I was sad of the ending, of course, because who isn't sad or grieving when something ends, right? That's just a normal part of life. But yet, I was still happy with the possibility of new and better. In fact, I think I've shared this with you before, but one of my mantras is this or something better. I share this with my clients often, all the time in the salon. This or something better when it comes to imagining, having to let go of something in exchange for something new. This or something better. And then better came. And I'm not just talking about, just in relationship, but better in just peace of mind, better in the mindset, better in the freedom that I felt, that boundless freedom that surged through me. This or something better. And would you believe I spent the better part of getting acquainted, with better, questioning if better was truly real. Now, let me pause real quick because I'm going to keep it real with you. But listen, when I tell you I'm on this journey of self-discovery along with you, I am not kidding. That's another podcast for another day because I would really need some time to unpack the synchronicity, the divine timing, the blessings, the joy, the experiences that have been transpired in the past 2 years that I am literally sitting here in awe. I'm sitting here thankful. I'm sitting here, just grateful to have been able to grasp that for myself, this or something better, and just keeping that in my mindset. And even now, as I sit here in awe, I'm always comforted in knowing that even if this isn't the appointed time, then there's something better for me. So as our beloved beach lady and those who are native to the Jacksonville, Fernandina Beach, American Beach area, we had our beloved beach lady. And she used to say this all the time. It's all connected, baby. And it truly is. So the topic of today is ascension. And I believe that God ascended me in that experience to remember that his love and grace towards me and to restore my faith in his goodness. And wow, I just think that deserves a sacred pause. That's a moment for sacred pause right there. And I'm just going to repeat today's topic because I really believe it just resonates with my heart. And I believe that it will resonate with yours too. So the topic of today is ascension, and I believe that God ascended me in that experience to just simply remember his love and grace towards me and to also restore my faith in his goodness. So for me, personally, last month I got so intimidated about making content for my businesses. I was just like, you know what? I don't want to be, and excuse my French, social media's bitch. I just don't. I really don't. Like I'm such a contrarian sometimes, and I need a minute to process my thoughts, to think things through, to come up with a solid plan. If it doesn't make sense, I ain't really doing it. So I was just personally intimidated by having to, just come up with content, and not for the purposes of marketing and advertising to generate business, but just to connect with people, to just show you who I am and to really help you understand why I do the things that I do in my businesses and for my clients and for the community and the ways that I show up. So I challenged myself to come up with new ways to show my personality and highlight the things that I do with grace, the ways that I move and walk in my purpose. And do you know that by consistently challenging myself to show up in this new way, I was able to feel enthused about writing blogs and getting back into the swing of being purposeful. I mean, my website literally sat for nearly 2 years. The blogs were just there. The YouTube channel was just there. The Instagram page was just there. I had no gumption in this period of rest and restoration that I wanted to record anything or to share anything. I was just simply content with being in my being and moving through this experience of healing. But the one thing I realized was once I started getting back into it, just once I took that first step, it's almost like everything else just opened up before me. I just got started. You know how sometimes they say, well, if, the best way to eat an elephant is just to take the first bite. That is so true in this instance, to just start. Everything didn't need to be perfect. Everything didn't need to be thought out. I mean, I had done the work in the previous season. I had laid the groundwork and the outline. So it was just a matter of recalibrating and getting back into the swing of things. So, and that's what I say to this. So when I started listening to some previous episodes, and y'all, I legit started smiling. I mean, my heart was so happy. Like I was seriously listening to previous episodes and looking at prior content that I had made previously. And I was like, who is this woman speaking to you all with authority and confidence? It was me. It was me. And y'all, do y'all remember when Outkast said this at an award show? The South got something to say. Well, it's me. I'm South today, and I got something to say. Okay? But for real, this is the epitome of facing everything and rising. This is what that statement, the title of this podcast, that's what this is about. I faced the stagnation of procrastination and self-doubt, and I began to rise above all the reasons I didn't, I couldn't, I shouldn't. And I started coming up with all the ways that I could. Come on, somebody. But all I had to do was start, to take the first step, or as my title implies, take the first peek. You know what I'm saying? Face everything and rise. I had to take the first peek. And once I did, I realized that everything wasn't as tremendous of an undertaking that I initially thought it was. Has that ever happened to you before? Like once you're so intimidated by something, but once you start taking just one small bite of the elephant, you realize it wasn't as hard or, as tedious or, it wasn't as much as a struggle as you initially thought it was going to be. And I will tell you this, I can apply this to so many different examples in my life. I use the same principle when applying for grants. Now, sometimes grant language can be a little bit complicated. There are some of the same questions, but it really requires you to just dig deep and really think. So I was coming back from Sedona, Arizona, back in February from an alchemist camp. And that camp was all about creating, new realities, what I talk about all the time on the Owner's Manual podcast. And when I got back, I saw an advertisement for funding for small businesses. And I thought, man, while I was in Sedona, I was dreaming and journaling and just like going hard in my imagination and in my dream fields about what I want to create for my life when I got back. I have this huge grand dream of a holistic wellness center, and it's bigger than anything I've ever done before. It's bigger than any idea or any thought. It is bigger than the vision board that I'm sitting here looking at on my wall before me. It is bigger than that. It is bigger than the pictures, the words, the ideas. It is so huge. And I thought, how am I going to fund this huge dream, right? So when I got back and saw an advertisement for funding, I was like, oh, this is a sign. I'm going to apply, without having any prior knowledge of how to fill out grant applications. It was intimidating. So I put it off for 2 days until I finally just jumped in. And you guys, I completed the application, and can I tell you that I felt so good about the fact that I rose above any fear-based thinking that I was temporarily experiencing. I didn't end up being selected for that particular grant, however, but when I see applications come up, guess what I do? Take a deep breath, I face it, and I rise to the occasion. I completed the grant applications. I go ahead and apply. And each time I can say that I'm getting better and better at my responses and better in helping to clarify my vision for my businesses by getting specific on what the mission is for the funding and how it will be used when I eventually get it. Because it's mine. I'm claiming it right now. I'm going to get the funding. I'm going to open up my holistic wellness center. I have a 3-year goal for that. And I'll invite you all to the grand opening. How's that sound? But I realized that I couldn't be in a position to be a recipient of goodness. I couldn't be in a position to be a recipient of goodness if I first didn't rise to the occasion and face the task. So there are so many other examples I can use to support this, but I believe you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, right? So I ask you again, what are you rising up against today so that you can show up in the world where you're creating with confidence, powerfully positioned for purpose? And I'll ask that again, just so that it's clear. What are you rising up against today on this beautiful resurrection day? What are you rising up against today so that you can show up in the world that you're creating, that you are creating with confidence, powerfully positioned for purpose? Do me a favor and let me know how this has impacted you or if this has helped you in any way. You can send me a message at LaDonnapm.com. If you're listening on the Anchor podcast, you can send me a question. You can also download the podcast on the Apple app, and you can also just reach me by email or in any of our social media links. But for today, I want you to just sit with this. Sit with the message that I've shared today about how fear has a new acronym, that is empowering, face everything and rise. And so here are the steps. When you face it, you get head on. You go head on and you just look at whatever it is in the eyes and you just come face to face with it. No more shrinking, no more hiding. The second step is that you embrace your gifts. You gather up all the wonderful things that make you the sum total of awesomeness that you already are, that you were created to be. You gather them in, right? You gather them up like small children. You gather them up like your teddy bears back in the day, or if you had stuffed animals. You gather them up like the memories of accomplishments that you've achieved when you have to remind yourself who you are. And then step 3, you allow evidence to the table. Spread it all out before you so that you can get a clear picture of what your success looks like, of what your giftings and abilities look like, the doors that you've been able to open, the accomplishments that you've made in your life. And then step 4, you remember your purpose. Don't ever forget your reason for being. And then, dear hearts, you just rise. You rise to meet your resurrected self. You rise to meet the person, the being that gets it done. You rise to meet the human, the loving being, equipped being that's got it going on. You rise to meet the self that is meant to live authentically and abundantly. That's all I got. I ain't gonna keep you, as they say in church, since it is Easter Sunday. I ain't gonna keep you. That's all I got. So until next time, remember to live with peace, love, and purposeful living. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Owner's Manual podcast. And let me just say this. While the Owner's Manual podcast may not be every Sunday, it may be twice a month, it may be once a month, but I do purpose to connect with you all. I promise to not go 2 years without you hearing my voice in some way. Again, peace, love, and purposeful living. And thank you so much for joining me today. Do you know the number one question that I get asked a lot is, how did I get started on finding my own purpose? And I want to let you know a little secret of mine that I used to get clear, especially when I was first starting my own journey to discovering what God equipped me to carry forth. Most of you that have been listening to my podcast know that I often talk about the power of journaling. I believe this is an easy, practical, but revealing way to tune into who you are and what you're called to do in this life. I even created a devotional journal available on Amazon, shameless plug. But for a deeper dive, I do a quarterly intensive journaling experience for the purpose pursuer who has had it with being confused and needs the right tools and the right support to feel aligned and confident about your soul's mission. Now, if this sounds like you, I want you to stop what you're doing and go to bit.ly/join purpose tribe. And this is simply just to add your name and email so that I can contact you when we start the next cycle. Again, this is no obligation to purchase anything or a fee to join the waitlist. This is just so that you can be first in line when the doors open again. Thank you for joining me. You have just listened to another amazing episode of the Owner's Manual podcast with me, your host, LaDonna PM. If you were inspired, please feel inclined to leave me a review on the Apple Podcasts and download our episodes designed to give you a purposeful pause on your journey of self-discovery. Thank you for joining me here. And you can also find me at www.LaDonnaPM.com, where you can find my blog, soul coaching programs, resources, the podcast episodes, and other nuggets of inspiration on your journey. Peace, love, and purposeful living.